Remember that classic whodunit game Cluedo? You win by figuring out who the killer is. And once you do, the game is over. Now imagine a version where the killer is revealed in the first half an hour. Game over, right? But in Knives Out, that's where the game really begins. Because here's the trick. Knives Out subverts the whodunit formula without breaking it. Hi, I'm Clarice, and in this video, I want to show you how Knives Out bends the rules of the classic whodunit just enough for the formula to feel fresh without breaking the principles of great storytelling. The whodunit is one of the most familiar genres in storytelling. But because it's so familiar, there are certain tropes that we have come to expect. Expectation 1. The detective is the main character. Expectation 2. The killer will be revealed in the final climactic moment. Expectation 3. There will be several suspects to distract us along the way. This is the formula that we, audience members, come to expect when we hear that the new Rian Johnson movie is a whodunit and is a love letter to Agatha Christie.
Well, it's a whodunit. It's kind of an Agatha Christie style whodunit, and I've just been a fan of those since I was a little kid. I've been reading Agatha Christie books my whole life. So for me, it was a treat to be able to jump into that genre and take a crack at it.
And Johnson knew that we'd be carrying these expectations with us, whether consciously or subconsciously. And by flipping these rules upside down, he managed to give us a film that feels both familiar and brand new. So let's break down how he subverted these expectations one by one. Expectation 1. The detective is the main character.
Enter Benoit Blanc.
Nope. In Knives Out, Benoit Blanc is the detective, yes, but we don't see the events unfolding from his point of view.
My presence will be ornamental.
Instead, we follow the nurse, Martha. On first impression, Martha is a rather unremarkable character. She's kind, sweet, a bit of a wallflower.
Come on over, Richard. Come on over, Martha, please, come over. You're shitting.
The character that seems almost boring, compared to the Trombies, who are all sharp, over-the-top caricatures. Compared to them, Martha fades into the background. She is so in the background that not even the other family members really pay her much attention.
Martha, your family is from Uruguay.
Your Brazilian nurse.
Ecuador.
So it feels like Johnson is breaking the formula completely. That is until we ask the deeper question, why do we usually follow the detective? Is it because that in murder mysteries, the central question is, who is the killer? And the person who is usually set up to answer that question is the detective. That is why we usually see the story from their eyes. We mirror their perspective, we feel the tension that they feel, we join them in the hunt. The detective is usually the one surrounded by suspects, and then it becomes a game of wits. The feeling of the detective against the world is really what causes the story to feel so compelling. But in Knives Out, the character who's against the world is not Benoit Blanc, it is Martha. Martha is the one with the family breathing down her neck once they realize she holds the key to their inheritance. It is Martha who is trying to prevent her family from getting deported.
Think of your mom.
My mom.
It is Martha who is unwillingly roped into helping Blanc solve his case. A position she is extremely uncomfortable with because she believes that she is the killer. Even Harlan, who is already dead, seems to be playing a game with her. He is the one who engineered this situation in the first place, forcing Martha into a game that she never wanted to play. So the emotional center of the story shifts. Martha is the character that we empathize with the most. By grounding the story from her perspective, Johnson ensures that every twist lands with the maximum emotional tension, and it's this tension that makes the story feel so satisfying. This leads me into the second expectation that Knives Out subverts. Expectation 2. The killer will be revealed in the final climactic moment. In a typical murder mystery, the story's momentum comes from the killer staying one step ahead of the detective. right until the final climactic moment when the truth is revealed. But Knives Out breaks this rule. At the 30-minute mark, it tells us who did it.
You gave me 100 milligrams of the good stuff.
It even tells us where it got did.
You took Mr. Thrombey upstairs at 11:30.
And how it got done.
Oh my god.
That is basically saying it was Colonel Mustard in the library with a candlestick. That's it. The game of Cluedo is over. If this was any other movie, the credits will roll right away. We know who the killer is.
You know, this is an interesting and efficient method of murder. I need to write this down.
At this point in the movie, I was honestly taken aback. It was so unexpected to have the review happen at the end of Act 1. In my defense, the first time I watched this movie was on a flight on the really tiny screens, and it was a red eye. So forgive me if I was tired and thought the movie ended abruptly. But Johnson keeps it going and kicks us straight into the next sequence with Harlan coaching Martha how to get away with his murder. So the story flips the script, turning this from a whodunit to a will she get away with it. With that, the feelings of the viewer change too. This movie changes into a thriller because now instead of surprise, what we feel is suspense. There is no surprise, we know who did it. Instead, we are focused on the question, will she get away with it? The sense of the thriller really comes through between the masterful play between Martha and Benoit Blanc. One of the key components of any whodunit is that the detective will ultimately catch the killer in the end. But in this movie, we're kind of conflicted because we are rooting for Martha, so we should want her to get away with it. But at the same time, an incompetent detective doesn't really make for a satisfying story either. It is these two conflicting desires within us that creates that heightened tension that takes us through the rest of the movie.
I want you to be by my side for it.
What?
My confidant, my eyes and ears.
Hey, wait, Detective, why me?
I trust your kind heart.
We have a lot of fun with this tension because Martha isn't a calculating criminal mastermind. She's clumsy, nervous, and constantly on the verge of getting caught.
So, what are we looking for?
Oh, you know, anything suspicious or out of the ordinary. You'll know it when you see it.
Instead of us being engaged with the story because it pits two brilliantly intelligent people against each other, we are engaged watching Martha try, and fail, to hide the clues that point to her guilt. And instead of hyper-analyzing every clue, we are more enamored by her clumsy ways of trying to hide it. I believe this is why every single clue in the movie is actually quite simple, because the intrigue isn't in the clues themselves, but the efforts that Martha takes to try to hide them. It's actually kind of funny how simple the clues are. It makes Benoit Blanc a bit comedic. He's so serious and such a lauded detective, but he's getting a turnaround because of all these clues.
It makes no damn sense. Compels me, though.
This serves up a very enticing mashup of comedy and thriller, and we are on the edge on our seats and loving every minute of it. But of course, as the movie progresses, we hit the final climactic moment and realize that, oh no, Johnson didn't indeed reveal the killer within the first 30 minutes of the movie. Blanc reveals that the case isn't closed. The killer hasn't been revealed.
Marta, I'm so sorry. I told them everything. I figured it was up. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's alright, Ransom. I'm glad you did.
Not exactly everything, though.
So we get the scene that we're all hoping for. The dramatic reveal where the killer is finally revealed. It is at this moment that what has been hidden all along rises to the surface. The movie has been a whodunit all along, hidden behind the thriller. So expectation 2, the killer is revealed in the final climactic moment. Fulfilled. Now the last classic trademark of a whodunit is having multiple suspects. This is such a famous trope that it even has a name, the red herring. If you're not familiar with the term, a red herring is a false clue or a misleading element that is designed to distract us from the real culprit. It has been a very common staple in murder mysteries since Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes. But Knives Out takes it to a whole different level. Firstly, there's the ensemble cast. Every single one of them looked like a suspect. Johnson made it a point to film them in the worst possible light, all of them being entitled, greedy, selfish scumbags.
No,
It's my company.
Right. Sorry.
I built my business from the ground up.
Oh my God!
Come on, Ed.
Wouldn't leave him alone, the poor guy. Harlan finally had to give him the hook. I didn't hear what he said, but he must have really handed him his lunch. And I don't... Screaming match? Mm-hmm. No? That's none of your business.
You have been double-dipping Meg's tuition and stealing from me $100,000 a year.
Every one of them had motive to kill Harlan. Every one of them looked suspicious. And no one fit that bill more than this guy.
You gotta do this more often.
CSI KFC?
We see Ransom, a character nobody likes. Everybody hates him. And Johnson immediately shows us why he is a great suspect.
We couldn't make it out, really, but it was huge. And it's strange. They went into another room to do it. Usually, they like to stoke up drama in front of the whole family.
Ransom was positioned so blatantly as a suspect that we begin to doubt that he is the real culprit. It was almost as if he had a red flashing sign saying, "Look, red herring here!" A brilliant play by Johnson. Fans of the genre would have immediately clocked it and think, oh, it can't be Ransom. That's way too obvious. Like me. So later, when more clues point towards Ransom, we wave it away thinking, oh, it must just be another misdirection.
Stop. Ransom? Are you back again already?
Even the casting of Chris Evans as Ransom was kind of like a cherry on top. Nobody would expect Captain America to be a bad guy. Ransom is an extremely well-executed red herring. A red herring can be done badly. If it's too obvious or if it's too random, it will feel cheap to the viewers. A good red herring is when it feels plausible up until the very end, and when the reveal happens, the viewers can look back and think, oh, no, the clues were there all along, we just didn't see it at the time. And when you think about it, in the movie Knives Out, Ransom wasn't the red herring, Martha was the red herring, because we were misdirected thinking that she was the killer. Looking back, the most powerful scene was the one in the diner when Ransom is suddenly Martha's listening ear and confidant. Think about it, isn't it strange? Shouldn't we have found his actions to be more suspicious?
'Cause you're an asshole.
But instead we nod along to his sudden helpfulness. This is because Johnson set up his motivations so well. We know that Ransom hates his family and wants to one-up them.
I think this could be the best thing to happen to all of you!
From that angle, his behavior seems consistent and doesn't contradict his asshole personality.
Look me in the eye and tell me what happened to my grandfather.
Looking back, I am shocked that I didn't question this scene more when I first watched it. But I think it's because I already dismissed Ransom as a possible suspect because he was way too obvious. So when the diner scene came, I kind of waved away all of the clues that were pointing towards him. So I hope I was successful in showing you how Johnson subverted our three expectations throughout the movie. But even if I was successful in that, I actually only solved the first part of the equation. Remember, at the beginning of the video, I said that the reason why Knives Out is such a good movie is because it subverts our expectations without breaking it. And this is where the true genius lies, this second clause, without breaking the rules of the whodunit formula. Let's start here. What makes a good story? At its core, a good story is the fulfillment of a promise. A story always begins with the promise of what the story will deliver and at the very end, fulfill. This is a very simple idea, but a powerful one, because it sets the expectations with the audience of what they can expect from this story. And in the end, when it's fulfilled, the promise that is, we feel the sense of satisfaction. Like, oh, that was resolved, or oh, they brought it full circle. That's the feelings that we get with a good story, with a good promise, and a good what we can call payoff or fulfillment. In Knives Out, the reason why we feel so satisfied by the movie, despite it being completely different from what we expected, is because it actually fulfilled all the promises it made to us in the beginning. Promise 1. It promised us that Martha was a good person, and she was proven to be one. It was her kindness that ultimately led to her defeating Ransom. By putting Frank's life above her getting caught, the film promised us that she was a good nurse, and ultimately she was proven to be. Promise number 2. It promised us that Blanc would catch the killer, and he did, twice over. And he does exactly what he said he would do.
I anticipate the terminus of gravity's rainbow.
Promise number 3. It promised us that Ransom was an asshole. And yes, he definitely was. No redemption arc to be found here.
Bought this place in the 80s from a Pakistani real estate billionaire.
Shut up, Blanc. Shut up! Shut up with that Kentucky Fried Foghorn Leghorn drawl.
And lastly, and most importantly, promise number 4. Johnson promised us a whodunit, and he delivered. A third of the way through, when we find out who did it, the movie turned into a thriller. So we relax into that, laugh at the terrible car chase. We think, okay, this isn't a whodunit anymore, it's a cat and mouse thriller. But then, in the final act, Johnson pulls the rug and shows us, no, it was a whodunit all along. We were just misled into thinking it was something else. And that was the most satisfying of all, and also red herring number 5. Well, I hope you found that interesting, and maybe I've given you a couple new ideas about the movie. If you'd like to learn more about red herrings and other storytelling devices, you can head over to my website, link in the description box below, for posts about plot structures, character archetypes, and other storytelling devices. If that is your jam, I'd love to see you there. Bye!